think there's a couple of reasons. I think one, I think people that are in that position, I mean, it's a demanding job. It's something that you work really hard at. I think just like a lot of jobs in America, people work really hard their whole life and then still feel like they can't really get ahead. And, my dad had like a plethora of other issues that really led to, basically what had happened. And this is probably true for a lot of other construction workers, but when I was in third grade, he was injured in a construction accident. He lost the tips of 8 of his fingers. And this was pre-opioid epidemic where people were really aware of like the dangers of Oxycontin and different drugs like that. And so my dad was prescribed Oxycontin, obviously for, he was in this very painful experience. He had to go to rehab for his finger treatment and stuff like that. And over the next, from the time I was in third grade till I was a junior in high school, which is when he died, he used Oxycontin every single day. And so that's the biggest factor to me is really that. And at this time, the country wasn't like super aware of the opioid epidemic and that these were basically heroin in pill form. And so I think there was a culture at the time of like, oh, well, my doctor prescribed this is what I need, this helps me feel good. And by the time you realize that you're addicted to it or you have a problem, it's really too late. And so I think about the timeline that he was on. That was an 8-year addiction. On top of that, he's trying to stay afloat. He was out of work for a while after he lost the tips of his fingers because he was going through lawsuits with the construction company. So there were a lot of elements there. And then also, my dad, he like used drugs with my older sister. It just started, she was 7 years older than me. And so it started out with them just smoking weed together. He was like a weed smoker. He was always kind of like a counterculture dude. He was a biker, and like he was always counterculture. And so I think he didn't see a big deal when my sister was like 15, 16 and started smoking weed, and he just he did that his whole life. And so I think he started joining her in that, and then as his addiction progressed, so did hers. And so I think the biggest factor in him like reaching that point was just this like guilt, because my sister's drug addiction got worse and worse over the years and veered away from his and just got worse in its own direction. And so I think there's a lot of different things, but I think a big part of it is people are trying to provide for their family. The economy's hard. Men tend to not really speak about their emotions or seek help. My dad was from that generation of like, suck it up and get to work.
Yeah, it's